Welcome to the Endurance Balance. I'm Coach J.W. McKenna. Joining me are Coach Alicia Phillips and Coach Ann Sharkey. Together, we break down the 80-20 philosophy through the lens of real life. Our goal is simple, to help you fit the training into the chaos. Let's get into today's episode.
That's awesome. Welcome back to the Endurance Balance. I'm Coach JW. Joining me at the table, as always, our coaches, Alicia. and sorry, but not sorry. We just had a really good conversation before we started the show. And unfair to Alicia and Ann, I just hit the record button. So this was a little unfair to them. But hey, it's all about fitting that chaos into the balance, right? So it's all good. Ann is back from Florida, right? So hot and humid, at least compared to what I am. And then we can go to the other end of the spectrum. And Alicia is back from the frigid tundra, right? So racing.
Well, it's still frigid tundra.
And I'm still in Florida.
And you're still in Florida.
But we're not slowing down, right? We're not organizing either, but we're not slowing down here. So today we're going to talk about how do you survive, because we talked about it in episode 4, back-to-back ultras. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about how do we fit 3 ultras within 6 weeks, but not just limited to that. It could be any A races in general that are ending up being in close proximity. So how do you bridge the gap with your training, right, without ending up in the training morgue, as I call it? And then we're going to talk a little bit more on Alicia's guide, with Ann and I popping in and talking about getting into those races that everybody wants, right? So those really sought after races, anything that may have a wait list, right? Or you missed the cutoffs, because it's a very popular race. Before we get into all that though, we'll let the chaos continue and we'll let our training log. And we had a couple of racers on the past weekend. And so as I mentioned, Ann is back from Florida. Ann, how was the Pecker Challenge?
Florida is still great.
Key West. This
is
is JW. He's from Canada, so he doesn't understand.
That's
Key West
true.
is still Florida.
Yeah. I feel like this episode's just going to keep getting more chaotic.
More so.
So Key West was great. It was, honestly, when we got there, so we flew out Thursday night. When we got there Friday, or when we woke up Friday morning, the goal, right, go get your race packets and all of the things. And I had told everybody, I was like, okay, I do not want to be on my feet all day. I'd like to go get our stuff and then come back, just sit down and relaxed. Well, 8 miles later, we finally turned in for the night. So if you've ever been to Key West, it's so easy to walk the island. It's only like 1.5 miles wide, I think. So super easy to kind of lose track and you're just buzzing around. So, that was Friday. Weather was actually pretty chilly. Like I immediately kind of started questioning what I had brought and, a little bit colder. I say cold, using relative terms, right? But Saturday morning, I woke up and I felt I didn't sleep well, and it was not nerves. Like it wasn't that. I felt awful, and I really questioned what I was going to do because I felt that bad. There's only been one other race where I have bailed because I woke up sick that morning, and I really didn't want to do that. I didn't want to just pull the plug immediately, so I figured I would go at least run the 5K, see how I felt, and then just make a decision at that point. So there's still 2 days of racing. I could have skipped all day Saturday and ran Sunday. I could just kind of see what happens on Saturday. So I decided to run the 5K. Ran the 5K, and it was pretty humid. It was a little bit more muggy than I anticipated. We did not have the 30-mile-an-hour winds that were predicted.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So, one thing I have learned is that the weather changes so much down here, especially coming off of obviously the ocean and the island, that you just it's hard for them to predict. So we did not have those winds. We had some wind, but we had some overcast skies, which was perfect. a little bit of ocean breeze, which was nice. But I finished that 5K and I was completely soaked. So I don't know if I sweated out what was happening. I don't know what it was at one point. And I think I had messaged you guys, like, we kind of thought it might even be maybe some shrimp that I had eaten the night before, but I don't know what it was. I'll get to the backside of this too. I think I was
I'm
starting to
sorry,
get
but we're
the
gonna have to talk off air about how proper carb loading, and I'm not sure shrimp is part of carb loading.
no, they were
Was
it
a
was
margarita involved as
no,
well? Like,
absolutely not. There was they were shrimp tacos. It was fine. I had it was fine.
with tequila?
No, honestly, if I would have done that, I would have been owning it. But I was so good and hydrated and still felt like crap.
Did your husband lace you with something?
He was trying to take out the competition, I think.
Yeah.
There's no competition between us. He's anyway. So raced the 5K, sweated out whatever was going on, and then turned around and raced the 10K. I did underestimate the time on the 10K, so I was like one gel short. It was just misplanning on my part. It wasn't a big deal. It was just 6 miles at that point. But it was a good little warm up. I felt good. I felt better than I thought I was going to, especially that morning. So we wrapped up all of that. What else did we do? Saturday afternoon, it's all kind of a blur now, but we just spent some time walking around, refueled. I know, we grabbed the Normatec. And our friends were staying at a different resort. So
Wait, describe Normatec, because I don't think a lot of people know what those are.
Okay, so they're like a compression, they're a recovery boot, like a leg sleeve, if you will. I believe they started off in the healthcare industry, right, to help with blood flow and help alleviate or prevent blood clots. And so Normatec is the brand name. There are all kinds of varieties out there, but it's a leg sleeve, so it covers your foot the whole way up to your hip. You plug it into a little module and it will inflate and deflate the chambers, kind of
like a blood pressure cuff.
yeah,
right?
like kind of coming up and down your leg. Amazing for recovery.
Kind of like the cheaters version of foam rolling.
I don't know if it's cheaters version.
Right? We got a picture of you laying on the grass.
Oh yeah, you
You're
did
just
get
laying
that.
there kind of having a nap, and you got the Normatecs doing all the work instead of actually
That's
working
right.
the foam roller yourself, right?
It's more expensive than the foam roller, that's for sure. So we grabbed our Normatec. Our friends also had a set, and we went to this like turf area outside of, like, inside their resort, and we we sprawled out on the turf, and security did come by and ask us to put the pillows back on the furniture. So they were less than happy with us, but we laid in the turf, looking at the sky, under the palm trees, watching the seaplanes go by. Not a bad way to have a little bit of recovery. Then that night we did carb load. We were fine. No more like shrimp tacos at that point. And then Sunday morning, the race started at the other end of the island. So we had a little bit of a walk that morning to get to the start line. The weather was better. It was a little bit cooler. Not terrible. I mean, we were comfortable in just short sleeve shirts hanging around. I went into the game plan. I went into the race with the game plan that I would do run walk, what that looked like. I did pivot a little bit, and I was going with a 2-minute run, 30-second walk. As soon as I started running, probably about mile 3, I pretty quickly realized that this was going to be a little bit more of an adventure than I had anticipated. My legs they were tired. I mean, at that point we had walked 8 miles on Friday. We'd already run, 9 on Saturday. But I wasn't there. I was just there for the experience. So I fell into a group for a while. They were also doing a run walk. I fell out of that group. I found a girl that I had run with a little bit on Saturday. We chatted for a little while. Oh, one really cool thing is I was running down, we kind of hit the same area quite a few times on the 5K, the 10K, and the half. There was a little plaque on the side of the wall where, do you know who Diana Nyad is? She's the swimmer that swam from Cuba to Key West.
Yes.
Yeah.
Movie about her, right?
Yeah.
On Netflix, I think,
Such a good movie.
Yes.
There's a Netflix documentary about her.
Yeah.
So the plaque was there where she came ashore from her
Nice.
swim. So that was something that I didn't expect. I wasn't even thinking about it. But then when I saw it on the 5K, then it kind of became one of my things to like keep searching for on the out and back part. So I was watching for that. So I just had a good time. I looked for let me back up a little bit. The 5K and the 10K race was the most fun 5K and 10K that I have ever run. Guys and ladies running in like inflatable chicken costumes and saying a lot of inappropriate, not family friendly podcast things that I can't repeat about the big Pecker challenge. It was just, everybody was having a blast. I have never had that much fun in a 5K and a 10K. So I was hoping that would carry over to the half. It didn't really because it was just a different, just a little bit of a different field. But my piece was I was looking for our friends on the out and back. So my husband was running with another friend of ours. So I did see them. I did yell at them at one point. I was like, "Hey boys, you want to party tonight?" They're like, "Absolutely." And then some other girls that were running with them were like, "We do too." So everybody was we were just having a good time. And then I saw our other friend on the out and back, and she wasn't doing real great at that point. So finally, I ended up, the sun did come out for a bit. It's funny because our friends were talking about the sun coming out, and I was like, I know it came out, but it didn't really affect me that much. And I think this goes back to I ran when the race time was. So there's a huge value to that. We've talked about that in the past on our podcast, is that I was out there at 7 a.m. I didn't go at 5:30 or 6 o'clock. So again, like, I'm not saying that I've always done that, but it's something I've learned over the years. And this case in particular, it did pay off because I honestly didn't know it. It also, think it goes back with all of our time with half marathon or half Ironman racing. We run at the hottest part of the day. So for us, it really, Scott and I both were like, we didn't even really notice that much. So then half marathon, I just had fun. I was just talking to people and we were singing Jimmy Buffett and somebody had a speakers they were running by, just having a good time. And then my legs felt great, nailed my nutrition. I did have to get a little creative because the water stops were not, really where they had said they would be, and they weren't very frequent. So, I just had to I ran with a handheld at the 5K, 10K. I ran with my vest, but 2 flasks in the vest on the half marathon. I did have to refill, and then at one point I filled again with water just in case, because I wasn't sure what was going to come up. A little bit after mile 10, I ran into our one friend who I had been helping with coaching her through this. And she was really struggling. One thing, like, I've said this before, that I've done everything that I've wanted to do with training or with racing. So for me, I wasn't going to just leave her. That's not what I'm there for. Right. So, we just started walking, and she's like, "I'm really nauseous." I was like, "You need salt." She's like, I don't know. So I pulled out my tube of salt, handed it over. She's like, I'm like, take it. I said, have you eaten anything? No, I'm really behind. I'm like, take this. That's why you're nauseous. So she did that. And I said, are you ready for your gel? And she's like, oh, I don't know. I'm like, you sure are? So, so she got about, I don't know, maybe 80% of it down and then started to feel better. Not like amazing, but better. So we stopped and took a picture at mile 0, mile marker. We kind of laughed because we passed a van with a mortuary sign on it. Like, I don't know what was going on, but we just had a good time. And then we come up to the finish line. We're about, it was kind of cool. Like we wrapped around the little shopping area and then we pop out to the finish line. And she looked at me and she's like, so we're going to do the fast finish like we did in training. And I'm like,
did you?
Oh, okay.
You ran it in?
She had to beat you.
So I was like, okay. So there's one of our finished photos. I'm literally like this, like, what are you doing? Like, this is what we're doing. And so she picked it up and we did run it in, but we high-fived like before we got to the finish line. So we do have a good photo of us high-fiving. And I told her later, I'm like, listen, if you had that left, you had more out there. So she, it wasn't really what she had wanted for her overall time. It's not how she wanted to feel, but I did have to remind her that we also had run 21, 22 miles plus all of the walking. So it was that's the most that she's ever run in 2 days. So, we were able to, at the end, like my legs felt great. I had plenty of energy. I wasn't wrecked for the day, which I was super happy about.
That's awesome.
2 quick questions.
Yes.
For both of you. Do you believe that a perfectly paced, executed race is one where you don't have anything left to spurt at the end? Like how do you set yourself and then how do you set your athletes up for that pace plan, if you want to call it, for the finish?
So I think should you, especially at a longer distance, like a 5K, I think you should leave it all out there, right? Like I think when you cross that finish line, you're spent, almost on the verge of throwing up. On a half marathon, I feel a little bit differently, and I think it's mostly because it's over the course of 2.5 hours, whatever. For me, this one ended up being over 3, which was my longest half marathon ever. But I felt good at the end. I had nailed the nutrition. I wasn't dehydrated. I didn't feel like I wasn't in a bad mood. I was in a good mood. I'm like, okay, what are we going to do? I was fine walking back. So I didn't want to leave it all out there. I wanted to have a good time. And, but for her sake, with the amount that she was ready to pick it up, it also showed that she was underfueled. And once she got that fuel back in her body, she was ready to go. So that did
definitely.
not answer.
I mean, as we, the 3 of us know, when you DNF, the first question we ask as coaches are, did you hydrate and what was your fueling like?
Yeah.
Did you execute that plan? And most of the time, my athletes have come back and said, well, not like for how we talked. And I go, okay, I'm going to say that's probably the reason why you bonked at that point, because it's right about when science says that it's going to happen if you don't fuel and hydrate properly. So interesting.
Yeah.
Alicia, your view on how you pace the perfect race. And again, I agree. And sorry, Alicia.
Yeah.
Goals are always going to be different for each race.
Yeah.
Right. Like, is it going to be one I want to do the fastest time in, whatever it is, but whatever the plan. So again, the question's based more on if this was that I want a PR, I want a PB, whatever version you want to use of that. Yeah. So Alicia?
Yeah, that is a very it depends answer. I mean, it's a reason why we don't sell this is your sub 2-hour training plan, because so many factors play in this. It could be weather, humidity, hills, what you ate that morning, what you ate the night before, what was your training like? Did you get sick in? There's so many factors. I am a huge fan of trusting like your intuition. Like if you like, I know especially, that race day has a special, I mean, when you taper properly, when you've done the training and you've then rested, because when you think about when you're training, you're constantly on tired legs. When you rest and taper and then race, it's like you can put out some numbers that you're like, whoa, that I can't believe that just happened. You have this, and then you have the race day high, that all the cheers and the crowd and just the support that race day brings. That's why some people are just like, oh, I'm just going to go do a 13-mile or half marathon on my own. I'm like, but it's still different than racing. It's so, but yeah, what is your goal? What are what are you trying to achieve? But if you're going for a PR or you're going for this specific thing, I actually lately, I will say a lot of people say, hold back and then try to do negative splits. But there was some interesting study that came out that only the elite have been able to do negative splits. So I'm kind of a fan of like go a little harder in the beginning, and if you fade, you fade. But obviously make sure you stay within your means to finish, because that's the last thing we want from you. So yeah, I hope that answered that question a little bit.
No, definitely, right? I mean, and I'm a completely different view. I'll be the devil's advocate on this one a little bit. So again, obviously, it will depend. You talk about the negative splits on a road race. I totally agree. I think trying to sandbag or whatever the strategy, negative or positive splits. For a road race, no. In an ultra, we tend to, right? Go a little easier at the beginning to see how you feel on the course. I mean, because you're going to be out there 10 hours to 30 hours, depending on the distance that you're doing. So you have lots of time. And I will always tell my athletes, you're not going to win an ultra in the first five hours or whatever, like the first couple of legs. On a road race, and I'll use Ricky as an example. So that race that he did a couple of weeks back, it was a B event. And so we wanted him, I paced him out and I said, the idea on your pacing will be, I want you basically to think that I'm going to be running the same pace at the beginning as I will at the end. Right. And so we came up with a number for him and everything else. And I said, don't worry about the hills, ups and downs, because, most of the marathon courses aren't that bad, at least in comparison to ultras. So I'll say they're not that bad. And overall, this is the pace that we want. Right. And that pace was just the top end of zone 3. So just below threshold. Right. So that's what we wanted him to stay at. A couple of reasons why. Sorry, Ricky, if I didn't tell you. And if you're listening, this is a couple of reasons why I wanted to do that. It's learning how to hold back. So Alicia, I think you mentioned it's all the excitement. It's the cheers. It's the cowbells. It's everybody yelling. We all know we've been out there, and then we get caught up in the very beginning of the big rush. And then you're just like, I probably shouldn't have done that. Right. And so training them to not do that, and just to know that if I keep this pace, I can actually trust the plan, so to say, that we came up with this number. And if I stay here, I got this. So, and then, if it comes out to A race, so in 4 weeks, he's going to be doing his Woodlands Marathon. I think it's 4 weeks when this comes out. It's going to be, we're going to have a pace, and that pace is going to be just a little bit below that. When he gets to the end, he'll be like, I could have gone maybe another mile, but that's it. I would have been done and dropped. Right. So that's where I kind of pace them out a bit. So
that reminds me of an under-over workout. Do you guys do under-over intervals ever?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
So it really trains of being just under threshold, a pace that you're still aerobic, still can flush out that lactic acid ahead of time, and then over threshold. Hence why it's called under-overs, where it doesn't feel good, you don't like it. So it teaches your body of, okay, these are my limits. And the goal is always to raise their threshold, but you obviously got to train those things.
Yeah, and I believe he also told me that he didn't have to look at his watch very often because I make my athletes also after every session do that rate of perceived effort thing, right? I say, stupid, grown-ups going, it was a smiley face, it was a frowny face, right? And then it was a 3 or a 2 or whatever. But we're really just training ourselves not to have to look at the watch. At least that's what I think. So
I agree.
cool.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
just I know some listeners will only be listening, but I want to find a photo of you all laying out on the grass, and I want to superimpose it kind of when you talk about it during the podcast, so they can see you in those Normatecs. But you have a medal, don't you? So you got 3 medals, four
We
medals.
ended up getting 4. So, yeah. So we started off with the little the 5K little dolphin,
Mhm.
and then we moved to the 10K sea turtle with wings. I'm not
Is
sure.
that a
Is that a
bottle
bottle opener?
bottle
Oh,
opener?
it is a bottle opener. Hold on, my
Well, that's all good.
camera is weird. Yeah, that is a bottle opener. I'm not sure why the sea turtle has wings, but there we are.
So
And
tequila
then,
down there doesn't come in a twist top. It's a pot right off.
hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. And then this is also a bottle opener. I just realized that. We got the half stingray bottle opener experience there.
Nice.
So kind of cool. And then the best one. This is probably like my favorite medal of all. It is the Big Pecker Challenge half. It says 5K, 10K, half marathon. The best part is
Is that like is it a button you push?
it's a button on the back here, but you
Oh my
have to
gosh.
shut it off. So it will just keep going. Like the roosters walking around down there. So
I could have
yeah,
made a really dirty joke right there.
well,
But I'll hold back.
there are plenty of jokes going on that race course, trust me. No, it was a ton of fun. I do think it's going to be an annual pilgrimage to Key West. So if y'all want to add that to your race list, let me know.
And I just want to, one, I want to congratulate you, Anne, but 2, she trained for this. So
Mhm.
her goal was purely enjoyment. Had you not trained and just went out and winged it, you'd probably be feeling miserable, wrecked, maybe injured. So, I mean, yeah,
Totally agree.
congratulations,
Totally agree.
dude.
Thank
And I
you.
mean, it proves
Yeah.
the point where I tell all athletes, I even tell my kids when they're going out there, you know, even in the gym or whatever it is, everybody's running their own race for their own goals, right? And so not everybody's going to be going hard because they don't want the podium. They don't want to, they just want that enjoyment. But as you're saying, Alicia, I totally agree. You still put in the training program to enjoy it.
Yeah, you're right. I did. And I mean, was I sore that evening? I was actually sore till probably about Wednesday. Things hurt that didn't normally hurt, but I think that a lot of that is just the road. Like what we ran on a lot of concrete, and my body does not do great on concrete. We ran on some cobblestones. We did have a couple of little bridges, which I haven't run on a hill in a couple of years. That little bit of a downhill felt amazing. And it by little bit, I don't even know what the elevation change was. It certainly was not much. But it just, we were running along, I was running along the water, seaplanes are coming in. And I remember just looking at the crystal clear water going, what is this life? Like, this is pretty freaking amazing that we're just out here. And also that our bodies can still, like my body can still do this. You know, at 55, I can go run a couple days in a row and not feel completely beat up. It still was taxing, but I didn't feel terrible. I loved the 9-day training cycle. I loved the program. I think the next time I would bump it up a level just so I had a little bit more. So we'll TBD for next year. But I think next year I may pass on the half marathon. And I may just go for the little Pecker challenge. I've already done the big Pecker.
I'll coach you if you want.
Oh, I don't know if that you want that. You're like, wow. We'll talk offline.
Cool. Surprisingly, this segment's running away on us, but that's okay. Dude, the other thing you mentioned too is that you said you did an 8-mile walk on the Friday before.
Not intentionally by any
No,
means.
that's okay. What it sparked as a question, because whether it was intentional or not, you made it almost sound like it was kind of like a bad thing. And I don't think it was. Maybe I mean, it was a walk. It's not a big deal. But my question was going to be to the both of you again was, so in the taper week, do you include some kind of a session? Let's say, so if the race is on a Saturday, do you give your athletes something on the Friday?
Yes.
Yes.
On
Alicia, what do
sorry,
you give them?
the race was on a Saturday.
Yeah.
I do not.
You do not. Okay, interesting.
I don't no. I'm a very yeah, because I think you're going to be doing a lot of going to the expo, walking, whether that I'm more 2 days before is kind of like your last run. The day before, I give them off completely.
Give them off? And?
So I do, and it's funny you said that. When I said the 8 mile walk, it wasn't like obviously it wasn't intentional, but had it been of going into a full marathon, I've done that before and it did not go well. Full marathon, I would have been like, it probably would have played more of a mental game on me. This one, I really didn't even realize it had been 8 miles until we started adding up our mileage for like our whole time being down there. But I don't regret it. It was just we were out having fun, and it certainly wasn't. It was an easy stroll for over the course of the entire day. But I think in a way it did help. Kind of just we weren't just sitting and kept the legs moving. On a half Ironman or like a triathlon, then I will have my athletes do something the day before. Typically on like a marathon run, something like that, then they'll have the day before off, just because I know they're also going to go to the expo. They're still, even though I say nothing on the Training Peaks calendar, I know they're still going to be on their feet. So it's kind of like a little bit of each. What do you do?
Okay. They get, I mean, I totally agree. Yes, expos and kind of walking around, and depending on the size of the race or the event and getting to it, I will do pretty much no matter what. We'll do about a 15-minute session on the day before. It's 5-minute zone 1 warm up and 10 minutes in a low zone 2. Right? It's a little bit of it's just keeping your mind in the game.
Yeah.
It's distracting from the stuff that maybe might not be distracting, as and a little bit of it is the endorphins that it will still release when they run, our feel good endorphins and everything else. And it's just kind of keeping, everything just limber kind of thing, right? So that's why I do it. So whether they're doing a 5K or a 100-miler or a 200-miler, I will still give them that 15-minute session on the day before. And then that just kind of popped another question in. My athletes, non-negotiable, they have 2 strength sessions a week with me. When do you cut off your strength if you have it in your plans for your athletes? So before an event like what either one of you had done, and we're getting to yours here in a minute, Alicia, when do you cut off the strength training? Do you do it nothing in the taper? Do you do light stuff in the taper? Is there so many days that you just say no strength training before? And I'll base this off an A race. I'll base this off an A race that you're taking your athletes into.
I typically stop strength training about, it depends, but about 3 weeks before, to be honest.
3 weeks. Okay.
Yeah. My strength training probably ended 2 months ago. It's just, I don't know why. I know. Do not listen to me. My athletes will do it, but I was like, whatever. So,
and what's your logic? So 3 weeks. I'll be honest. That seems a lot to me. But why 3 weeks?
So 3 weeks. So 3 weeks. I have found that sometimes they'll start to overdo it. They'll get a little bit anxious that the race is coming up. They don't feel prepared. They'll start to go a little bit heavier. They'll start to add in some things that, like doing a little bit more because they're feeling good. They're feeling strong, but also that little bit of, as you're going into the doubt of like going into taper where that doubt starts to kind of creep in. I feel like I have had athletes that will keep bumping up their strength and then they're really sore. So
Kind of not listening to coach is
well,
the
there's
issue.
yeah. So I have just if I've got somebody who's been strength training the whole time and they've been nailing it, then I will like take it out for the 2 weeks of taper. But if I've got somebody who's kind of know the athlete a little bit by I mean a lot by that point actually, so I'll cut it about 3 weeks before. Yeah.
Okay. Alicia?
Yeah, no, I go all the way through. It looks a little different. Okay. So we're not doing 300-pound weighted squats. We're probably doing body weight squats or step ups. And the strength training might only be 10 minutes versus, I mean, I'm not a huge person of like, you don't need an hour in the gym. I think an hour in a shower you're in and out.
Mhm.
You're efficient. That's kind of how I roll. So, but we don't necessarily stop, and it might even be like PT exercises or that warm up or cool down. You're doing some lunges, some sit ups, some planks, little things. But it's still strength training. Yeah, I'm all for that.
Cool. I'm again different. So I will go off of basically about 5 days prior to the event. And so most of the time that ends up being the taper week going in. I may give them something. So if I have athletes that are doing strength on Monday, I'll give them the Monday session and then nothing the rest of the week. If it's Tuesday, but they got a Sunday race or, so there's a little bit of playing there, but I really kind of set it up. It's about 5 days prior to the A race.
And I think that is different for a half marathon versus an ultra.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Obviously, an ultra, you don't need to be explosive. You don't need to be doing power moves. You're
Yeah, I'm going to say you do in the sense that tripping
you're
on
right.
the route. So if you're,
Yeah.
there's one that we run and I love it. This is my favorite race. We've been there all 11 years now, I think, is the Blackspur Ultra.
Oh.
And I love it because it's we call a very technical trail. So there's a lot of down, there's a lot of you're jostling really quick. So I'm going to say the plyometrics does play in, the quick movements kind of play in there. So, but it's just more about just letting the body recover. And so, but I am in the same way that the week before that. So if I do a 2-week taper, it's going to look a lot different. So I'm thinking we're doing 50% of that 1 RM, that 1 rep max, and it's going to be 12, 15, 18 reps of very low weight just to keep the muscles activated and everything else. So it looks, and again, yes, 5K versus the ultra, there's going to be a different span in there and where they are. But most of my athletes, so on a 18-week marathon plan, let's say right now, I'll have everything structured up to 16. And then the last 2 weeks are just going to be kind of play it by ear. Very cool. Anything else last minute you want to add or anything, Anne, for your race weekend?
I don't think so. I think it's just it was different than I expected in a very good way. I don't know what I expected, but the weather was great. The temperature was amazing. Key West is so much fun. It was so good to get away. I will also tell you this, I think we talked about it a little bit before that I was avoiding the sickness. So I was doing a lot of zinc, beef, and orange juice. I was drinking a lot of orange juice.
With
So
tequila.
I was not drinking tequila. Before the race, I was not drinking. And that's something too, like, it's funny because,
I wouldn't necessarily recommend orange juice the day before because of that acid.
Oh, no. Like leading into it, I was trying to avoid the sickness. I'll get to the alcohol in just a second. But, I took zinc along to Key West, and then after the race, I stopped taking it for whatever reason. So, my husband ended up getting sick, and our one friend that went with us got sick. So they were both out. We flew home Wednesday. Scott started to get sick while we were there, but he was down from Thursday, Friday, Saturday, kind of recovered a little bit Sunday. She was the same way. I got a little bit of it, more of just the fatigue, but not sick like they were. And I think that preloading with the zinc really,
Mm.
really helped.
Mm.
And that's a whole other topic, but I will tell you that I have never, I mean, I usually, this is going to sound so terrible. And not that I'm drinking a lot, but I've always just had cocktails and alcohol throughout my training. It didn't really matter what I was training for. It wasn't like a good beer and a burger after a long ride or a run.
Mhm.
But we had a little bit of life changes earlier, late last year, that my husband and I both just like stopped drinking, and it was months. And I did not drink through this training. There was one night where we went out with friends where I had one drink and I felt terrible and I slept terrible. So I really had cut out alcohol going like the whole time. And it really made, I mean, I know we preach it. It made a huge difference. And I think that's also why this training cycle, it felt good and I recovered better than ever. Now on the backside, we were in Key West and we
Live
enjoyed,
a little
we lived a little on
with
Monday
big
night
peckers.
with big peckers. Yes. So there's the big pecker story wrapped up in one. Yeah.
Awesome.
The end.
Now, the other end of the spectrum, Alicia was out in the tundra doing what?
Mine is not as cool. I'll wrap this up in about 60 seconds here. No, we did, it's called a Bigfoot snowshoe 5K race in good old Traverse City, Michigan. And this is a race that consists of about, actually we were quite shocked. There was about 150 people that are something around that range. There's usually more, but the temps were -4 at the start, which is -20 Celsius, which JW's like, that's like nothing for him,
That was
apparently.
yesterday.
I was going to say.
That was just
and-
yesterday.
But there was 0 winds. On top of it, so in case you're wondering what snowshoes are, it's like these just, they all look different, but they're these things you clip in and so you can walk through snow and have traction. Most people do not run in them, but you can. And they mark the trail that morning, so it is fresh powder. And granted, they had about 2 feet of snow, so you didn't want to be first. We saved that for the pros, which there were some pros out there, which I was just like, kudos to you guys. And for reference, the winner of the race won it in 30 minutes and like some change.
Nice.
So to give perspective of like, most people can do 5Ks in like 17, 20, I think my best 5K lately has been like 23 minutes. I finished in 42 minutes and my average heart rate was like 175. So like there was no training, even the hills. I mean, you had to put about probably 5-pound ankle weights and a 15-pound vest because of the amount of gear that we were just like in. Snow pants, double pair of socks, snow goggles, gaiters. But then I realized I definitely overdressed. I was sweating. I wanted to take off my snowboarding jacket about 5 minutes in. But like, it was a blast, kind of like how Anne said. It was one of those moments. I mean, I've done this race before, so they have these little Yetis, not little. They're dressed up like monkeys in these crazy costumes, and they jump out of the tree to try to scare you. And then they'll hand you like some fireball to like, hey, you want a shot? Like you guys are, it's just insane, but such a fun time. I did win my age group, 35 to 39.
Yay, congratulations.
Yay. And yeah, and then the you get cold really fast. So the award ceremony, you're just like, hurry up and be done with it. We got a puzzle for our, being an age group winner, which was, you can definitely tell they were on little budget cuts from prior years. And I would show you, but I also got stuck in the whole flight delay thing. I thought I moved it around enough to make it home without ease, but I did get stuck in Detroit for about 10 hours, and they lost my luggage, and then they delivered me the wrong luggage. So I still don't have that yet.
Didn't put the medal on and it just like walk through
Well,
the
it wasn't a
airport, but
medal.
I
It was
won. I won.
it
It
was
was
a
a puzzle
puzzle.
piece. She couldn't wear it.
I have a picture. I think I have a picture. And no, but beyond, it wasn't even just about the race. Where we stayed, we just like are right on the premises of the Vasa Trail, which is national park trails, and we did some fat tire biking on like beautifully groomed trails. We did some Nordic skiing, cross country skiing, whatever you want to call it. Needless to say, it was like, okay, we about like 1 hour. It's like you could probably stand the cold for about 1 hour and feel really good. And then you got to come back and warm up, change your clothes out, shower, get back out, rinse and repeat. So my Garmin told me I was strained. I needed to recover. I definitely say I came home fully sore and just loving it. So
I just want to say for a second. So all that for all the listeners that don't live in Canada, okay, all that gear that Alicia's talking about that she was wearing during the race, my kids will put on daily just to go play in the backyard. Right, like you're talking about the ski goggles and the toques and the big gloves. Like we snowshoe like just for fun, like in the area because we can. We haven't got a chance to do it this year, but our kit's good to like minus 60. Right.
That's
and so
awesome.
you talk about sweating. So when you get to that minus 20, it's just like, oh man, yeah, we got to take it off. But we also have, I don't know if you guys would be familiar with wind chill, right? Or real feel, right? Oh, it's minus 20, but the real feel
But
is
feels
minus 60.
like, yeah.
Or feels
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
Hey, I didn't tell y'all, but they're calling for snow here on Saturday.
Good.
Are your oranges going to be okay?
Oh, I don't even know. I've given up on my citrus trees and stuff. It's
Yeah, but
nuts.
that's like British Columbia saying, Vancouver saying we're getting snow. It's like, yeah, so it's going to be gone by that afternoon, and it's all going to be slush.
Yeah, ours isn't even going to hit the ground, but I'm slightly excited. So
I'm sorry, I don't want to minimize it, but it's just
no,
funny.
it's fine. But it's been all over the news that because this is weird to me, but and I get it. Florida, like a lot of people I work with have never seen snow. So
That's wild.
As wild as that is, so everyone's freaking out down here. I will send you pictures of our snow.
Sorry, Alicia,
will.
you're not getting off that easy. What else about the race? How were the
Yes.
logistics and everything else?
Okay, no. So again, this was a very small race. We literally signed up the week before the race because it's a nice race that you don't have to. It's not going to sell out. Let's just say that. And there were a lot. Actually, it's just kind of comical because there were a lot of people complaining they should have canceled the race because it's too cold. It's like, bro, just
Snowshoe
Then
race.
don't come.
exactly, and dress the part.
Yes.
The nice thing you layer, you dress for the gear. I could say this. It's not about being not about. I mean, I guess if it's 150 degrees, you can't run naked. But like everything's relative, right? I mean,
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a great question because I want to still try to keep some of this training beneficial for the listeners. I mean, not that these aren't great stories. How did you layer for that race? So like you said, you put a big snowboarding jacket on, which I don't know if I would have done.
I wouldn't have done it
for
either.
a
I
race
regret that.
knowing, but how did you layer?
Yeah. So what I should have done was, my brother-in-law, because my parents were supposed to come, but the weather, they decided to stay home and safe. So my brother-in-law who was our Sherpa, was opted to like be at the start. He was at the start. I could have handed off my jacket and gone. I wore some like warm leggings. I wore 2 pairs of socks. My debate that morning was, do I wear my boots or do I wear running shoes and just put shoe covers on, like my cycling shoe covers? And I am so glad I actually wore my shoes, because light and I didn't get any blisters, but I did wear 2 pairs of socks. My feet were not cold, so that part I did great. My legs were good. I did wear snow pants. Would I have worn snow pants? I think I would have. I don't think that made or break it. I did wear 2 pairs of gloves. I ended up taking off 1 pair and just holding the 2. I just like to hold things in my hands when I run. I know it's I did wear a neck gaiter, but I actually liked that because breathing in negative temperatures, it really does mess with your lungs. So I had that on, and I kind of just kept doing one of these. It does get sweaty and gross, and
Mhm.
that was another thing. I wore, it was like the whole head thing to kind of just protect your eyes, and a
The
hat.
balaclava.
The clava, thank you. How do you say it? Balaclava?
Balaclava. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I
And
always
so I
thought it was
couldn't
a
just like
baklava.
baklava. I think that's actually how you
That's
say
a
it.
Greek. That's a Greek dessert too. Go ahead.
So I couldn't just like take it off. But it's one of those things, once you're sweaty and you take it off, then you get really cold. And
Ugh.
if you guys don't know, our hands, our feet, and our head, that's where you lose heat the fastest. But again, if you're in motion, you're gonna be fine. People talk about like, oh, you can get frostbite in like 10 minutes. It's like, well, if you're moving and you're dressed properly and you're in gear, you're gonna be fine. Yeah, so I wished I would have, and I did wear like some compression cold gear, and then I wore my like my winter cycling jacket. I don't know if like, and then I had my snowboarding jacket on. So I could have very much done without the snowboarding jacket. I think that would have been my, next time. Now that I know, I can do -4 temperatures, no problem. Because then the next day when I went Nordic skiing, I just wore my vest and had regular arms. Same thing with cycling or with fat tire biking, and I was absolutely fine. So, yeah, it's one
Yeah,
of those
that's
things.
it's always a tough one. So I'm firm believer in merino wool. So that's our base
Mhm.
layer, right? And
Mhm.
so most of the time when we're out either just snowshoeing or some other activities, like you say, like the running, a little different, but it's merino wool, then the fleece, and then more of like a windbreaker.
Yeah.
Is kind of the layering I have, and then I like to invest in one that will let kind of the moisture and heat out, but block the rain and the wind kind of coming in. And so that's kind of, and they're usually light enough that you can just take them off and kind of tie them around your waist. But it's always a tough call, right? Like I said, like our kit's good till -60 for snowshoeing or hiking. The right boots and the right, everything that fits in kind of with the snowshoes and things. A little different when you're running, and like, yeah, absolutely. When you're running and you're heating up, you do want to be careful of the overheating, absolutely
Mhm.
too, right? So, definitely, I think we all preach this anyways. The moisture wicking, warm base layer, but it needs to be that moisture wicking because it's not going to do any good if it's holding that dampness, let's say, close to your body. So,
I think that old what is that saying? Dress for 20 degrees. No, dress 20 degrees warmer. When you start running, it's actually 20 degrees warmer than the temperature, right?
Yes.
However that says, it was not.
mm,
Yes.
Yeah. So when I first started running, we were still in Kansas City, obviously, and it was running in the wintertime. So we would do a moisture wicking layer and then like a long sleeve cotton shirt over top to kind of like have something for that sweat to go into. So
mm,
your cotton shirt was always just soaked.
mm-hmm,
And then a fleece if it was cold enough, and then sometimes like a lightweight windbreaker just to help with that extra wind. There were times when I ran in tights and wind pants, and we would just there'd be frost on the outside because when you're marathon training and it's that cold, there's nothing that's going to keep you dry, and the sweat's going to start to refreeze as soon as it's on the outside. Good
yeah,
times.
my runs tend to be, and I love this gear's exoskin. And so
Uh,
I have kind of like the tops are kind of like you said, a little bit of compression, but they are definitely the moisture wicking. And then I swore I'd never wear these, but I'll never wear them with shorts. Is the leggings, but the winter leggings,
Mm.
and then just usually just a pair of like joggers or something,
mhm.
and that's good to about -20, 25.
Mhm.
Um, Jess and I kind of have if it gets anything colder than -25 Celsius, we'll tend to bring our runs indoor. And a little bit on it, and you touched on it, Alicia, was how cold is too cold for the lungs, right? When you're running. And for me, in the research that I have done, basically it's that -20 cutoff. Is that the body should be able to, for normal population, healthy populations, should be able to warm that air up around that -20 when you're out exercising, should be able to warm it up and have, really no effect on the body for most,
Is that
again, general
feels
health.
like, or is that actual temperature?
That would be actual. The actuals for sure. I'm not sure. I think
I
that
wonder
real
how like
feel is just them.
would humidity play a factor? I'm
I
sure it
think so as well.
absolutely would.
Yeah,
Oh.
because that's kind of what the body is doing, whether it's in your nose or in the lungs, right? You're humidifying that air, and so if it works less, it can probably spend a little bit more kind of warming it
Yeah.
up, so to say.
Yeah, and effort, it feels harder. That's 100%. So just like
perceived effort for
training
sure.
in the
Yeah.
heat, it's almost equivalent. It feels harder, just
Yeah.
like it feels harder in the heat. So
Very cool.
for sure.
I'm going to change things up a little bit. Was there anything else, Alicia, on that race?
No,
I mean,
it's
congratulations.
blast.
Awesome race.
Congratulations. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
highly recommend it. Go for those fun races. I think this is a great turn into what we're about to talk about. But JJ, really
Well,
let you.
yeah, no, and we're kind of still in the training log, but the section 1. But it's I totally agree. And our fun race really, I think, is that the High River Half Marathon, where the 4 of us go out. We do boys versus girls, so to say, and we just go run a fun 5K. Right? You want to walk and pick the flowers, and fine, pick the flowers. And it's interesting because Iric was, I want to walk. It's like, well, Runa will catch up then. I'm not walking. And then he wants to kind of keep running, right? But I think that the part I want to switch up on, I think, is you talked about getting into races. So you mentioned, I'll save the training for 3 ultras in 6 weeks, because there's some good discussion to go on there. But for the you had mentioned that you just a week before this one, registration was still open. That's not common for at least a lot of the races that I do, right? A lot of race promoters, they want that minimum week to 2 week cutoff so they can get the bibs. Brian will, for the Sinister events, Brian will say, we'll get you in, but you're not getting a name on a bib. You just get a number and all that type of thing. You might not get a shirt because we haven't got the order in, sort of thing. So a lot of races tend to like to cut off sooner. There's one race that Brian does. I can remember at one point in time, for the Canadian Death Race, it basically sold out in a day. Right. And so that race, it's really cool to be at the expo for that one. And when we go for the racer meeting, I'm not sure if they do the racer meetings for a lot of your events, but we have a racer meeting for a lot of the ultras. So what to do in the wild, what to do for this, and was there this sighting? We changed the course because of that. There will still be, I want to say, close to 1,500 racers in that dinner, right? So that event sells out quickly. Alicia, how do you suggest that our listeners that have those really desired after races, or the ones that sell out quick like that, or even trying to, maybe it ties in, maybe it doesn't, but BQ, how do they get those qualifying times into Boston to get into some of these desired races?
Yeah, you pretty much just need to be a run influencer or celebrity.
Layla?
That wraps it up.
Layla, I hope you're listening to this. No,
Yeah.
we need to get her on here. No, really, it's so there. I mean, that is, we should actually look into that. If you're looking into some international races, I know somebody. No, know how the race feels. Let's back to seriousness. So if it's lottery based, is it a time qualifier? Is it first come, first serve? Is it invitation, like legacy or a charity? Register for the emails. Volunteer. Sometimes that's a really huge one. I know within New York City, they have 9+. Like, so if you race 9 local races plus volunteer 1, you can get an automatic slot to run the New York City Marathon. but being prepared. I know when I'm constantly signing up for the New York City Marathon, Chicago. You sign up, you apply, and then you wait. So just knowing how the system works and being like ready to go, like the website's likely going to crash, kind of thing like that. But then also like think about your goals. Is it trying to like you want to race in the spring? Okay, so if it is Boston, let's just say. Well, let's look at all the other races that are happening in the spring. It doesn't just have to be Boston. There are so many local races. There are so many regional races. I know especially with New York City, there's Philly, there's the Marine Corps, there's DC, there's Virginia Beach. I mean, there's so many still great races. It's just, what are your, things? Do you want a city race? Do you want an experience, kind of thing like that? I do think there's a lot of hype, and maybe you guys can, agree or disagree in the majors or the very popular races that some of my athletes who have raced it, they're like, I wish I wouldn't have raced it. I wish I would have experienced it. So you might, if you're going for a PR, New York City Marathon is not going to likely be, maybe it is, but the crowds and the hills, are going to be a challenge for sure. So making sure it aligns with what you want. And I would say go for it all. So apply for the lottery, line up for charity as your backup, check club entries, check sponsors, sometimes like get on wait lists. Sometimes they release extra spots later. But another thing is just treat registration like race day. So for those first come, first serve races, if you know it's opening at noon, you better be on that site ready to like pay, go, and click enter,
I
have
really
a
like
plan.
I really like the part about the volunteering, right? Like it might take you, a couple of races to get into the cycle. One of the things I really do like about Sinister Sports and what Brian does is that if you volunteer this year, you are guaranteed, even if it sells out and you forgot to register, you are still guaranteed a spot in that race because you volunteered the previous year. Right. And so that lays some of the pressure off. Right. And for those that are listening that do volunteer, wait to register. Right. Unless you're one of those people that are superstitious, have to have a low number bib or something like that. Wait so that those ones that are trying to get in it and sign up can, like you mentioned, like oftentimes race roster will crash or something like that because there are so many people trying to get into a specific spot. Another one, like the kids race for death race sells out every year. And there's so many posts on social media going, oh, I forgot. Can you please help me out? Jimmy is really sad. And Brian is awesome. He'll get as many as he can in. But at some point in time, there's a reason why there's a cap, like on a lot of these races. So, getting in there, getting that ball. And it's cool. You get some good, for me, I'll get some good social media pics and posts or whatever out of it because you're in there, you get some of the behind the scenes and if you're in, the check-in part. So I do a lot of the bagging. So setting up all the racer packages and whatnot. And then I try to at least pick a table and just meet some of the racers. Right. And one of the great things, if you're a coach, I'm in my coaching gear. Right. I got a table, I got a booth, if you want to call it, in the expo. But when they're signing in, I'm in kit and I'm just like, hey, first time, talk to them, find out what's going on. And I love talking to the first timers.
Are you wearing
the volunteering part? What's that?
Are you wearing the traditional polo shirt with your logo on it?
Yeah,
shorts.
Yeah.
No, it used to be that way with Ironman, that you had to volunteer to really get a spot because they would sell out so fast. So Arizona was
and now not so much, right?
No,
I feel like you can get into Ironman pretty good, right?
Yeah. Now they've got.
So maybe everybody just needs to be triathletes.
there's that.
Yep.
Yeah,
Which
there are a lot of
sports?
different ways. And it's funny because when I've done Marine Corps twice, I've done Honolulu, Chicago. Those were never lottery systems. It was just you got in. I mean, we waited. We did get into I think it was I don't, it doesn't matter, whatever one it was. We did sit there, and when registration opened, we were in, and there was like a group of us that we all ended up getting into it, but I've never had to submit my name for a lottery of anything. So times have changed. It's I do appreciate though that they're capping the number, because it can be too much. The beginning of the 5K, 10K in Key West, it was a lot. There was no way that you were going to find clear space to just take off. Of course, I wasn't lined up at the beginning either, but the half marathon even was still pretty crowded. So I do appreciate that they're capping some things, but it's it used to not be that way. But that's a good
Well,
I'm
and the
always
tr-
amazed when
the
you
trail
see
race life or series. I mean, you look at most of the UTMBs, it's lottery, right?
Mhm.
I mean, yes,
Yeah.
there's the elites and some of the pros, and then there's the invite list. I mean, that's another way. Run some awesome races or make yourself really well known to them and get invited, right?
That's
If
very
there's some of those
cool.
wait lists, right?
Yeah.
It's absolutely. And then the rest is a lottery. And right now, just kind of the January, you're seeing a lot of, well, I'm on the lottery. It's a wait and see,
Mhm.
right? Same thing, with Boston. Yeah, I got my qualifying time, but did I actually have the real qualifying time? Because they're going to change it, in March,
Was it
February.
enough?
Oh yeah,
Was it
by the way,
enough?
this is
Yeah.
the new cutoff,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
Like,
they're doing that in gravel too. I mean, they're like Unbound is a huge lottery system. So people throw their name in, and then wait and wait and wait. And when we were in Kansas City, I registered for Unbound. At the time we owned our business, I thought, oh, surely there was a group of us too. We had kind of heard through the grapevine that if you registered as a group and had females in your group, they were really looking at that. I think it was actually before Lifetime owned it though. I don't remember who had it when it first started, very grassroots. And we were a local small business, and we were not chosen. So after that, I never I never tried to register again. But I do know it's a big draw, and Unbound is a huge name now. But people wait and wait, and there are a lot of people that don't get in year after year. So I do. I mean,
and I know there's a couple of races that I know of. I think there's 3 that really want to bring more women into sport. And so they have a certain number that they'll say, or they'll open up registration first for the females and then allow the males afterwards, so that there is that room to bring more women into sport.
Mhm.
What are your thoughts? Do you agree or disagree with the lottery, or well, I'll leave it at one question. Do you agree or disagree with the lottery system?
I agree. I think it makes it fair.
Okay.
I don't agree with Boston. I'll tell you that much. I feel like if you hit your Boston qualifying time, you should be in. Boston has gotten so, I don't want to call it political, but in a sense it has, where, and I shouldn't even say this and throw it out there, but I'm going to say it. It's become so charity focused, and I appreciate the charities. I have run for charities from Ronald McDonald House to Team in Training. There is absolutely full respect for the charity aspect.
Okay.
But it's then the influencers, the actors and actresses. That's what congests the field, and then takes away. My feeling is it takes away from the Anne and Alicia's and JW's of the world who worked our asses off to get to that that time that we were told is our qualifying time. And if you hit a qualifying time, you should be in. It's just like, I don't know, is it like NASCAR where you qualify and you're in? They don't go to a lottery
Mhm.
system or have to go under a certain amount. I feel like if you've done it, and you should be in. There's
I
my
think that's a good
Boston soapbox.
tie back to what Alicia was saying is where a lot of athletes are going, man, I wish I would have experienced that race. And knowing, and again, it's Boston's race. They get to run it whatever way they want.
Yep.
But maybe if you look hard enough at what the goal is for the race, maybe it's just not the right fit.
Mhm.
And maybe just not needing all that stress to go with it, like you say about, okay, I got my time, but is it really my time? And all everything else that goes with it, where there's some other great, just as challenging events in and around that. I mean, 1,000 people say I'm not going to go to Boston because they don't like it. It's not going to affect them. It's Boston, right? Like it's
Yeah.
never going to change. It's going to just keep growing. But I think sometimes some of the smaller, and what I mean by smaller is maybe you only got 5,000 racers instead of 15,000 racers over the course of the weekend. Because I think that's crazy what the numbers are for Boston when you look at it, right? Like that many people. Holy geez. So I think it's a good come back to your goal. So when, and just to tie it back to the trying to get into some of these sought after races, are you trying to join it because it's a sought after race?
Hmm.
Or is it one that you really want to do? Fine. Absolutely. Go do it. Coach, I'll help you get there type thing. Right. But if it's not, then maybe we'll help you get to a different race.
Yeah,
Alicia,
Yeah, I love
you're,
that. I have an athlete who's it's her dream to Boston qualify, and this year we're doing Jersey City, so happens like I think they're 2 weeks apart. We know that she is a good winter training. Like winter training is her jam. Spring races are her jam. Fall races not so much because that requires training through the summer heat, and she's not heat and her don't agree well. So it's one of those things. Like what do you prefer? Are winters just they're so brutal that you're stuck indoors? I have another athlete who is training for a 70.3 in the winter, and it's hard to fit in work, to fit in training. Winter is long, but the days are short. Whereas to do a triathlon more in this early summer when you can get out and ride for 3 hours versus being on your trainer for 3 hours, totally different kinds of dynamics. So we're kind of learning as we go too. And maybe you're in this moment too where you're questioning, why did I sign up for this race when you're deep in your training, or you're just getting started and you're super excited. Let's not also become those, what did we say, that pros and burn out by March 1st that we can't run the rest of the year. Okay.
absolutely. Any final thoughts on,
Wow. I thought today we weren't going to have enough to talk about, and look at
oh
us.
yeah. Just, I think I told you, Anne, right? And then listeners, it was funny because, obviously we have a little meetings to, go over, run a show notes. And Alicia's like, well, if we end early, that's okay. And I just chuckled and I said, have you not met us?
Right, because we all chatted about 30 minutes before we started recording. So we've been at this for an hour
Yeah.
45 now. But no, I think that the winter months, can definitely get to everybody. The cold, the dark, it gets monotonous, especially with the weather that has recently hit and from what I understand is about to come. But this is the time to enjoy the downtime a little bit, focus on your weaknesses, get out there, enjoy the races, do the fun stuff, have fun with this. And just remember why you're out there. Remember your why. Remember what's important, and just take some time and enjoy the scenery. Take some time and remember why you're there. Take the time and just get your money's worth out of that course. That's what I did, and I don't regret it. I think it's been a little bit of a refreshing break for me to come back to the sport after my retirement, and it was a good way to get back into it because now I'm ready to get back out and run, but it's been too cold here for me to get out.
This is like you're in like the prime running weather right now. You kidding me?
I know. But if I have to put on tights, I'm out. I
We could end with this question. I think JW might have had a question, but I'm going to, what is your favorite running temperature?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Perfect. Like that'll kind of tie into dropping in, I was going to ask what bib are you chasing? So what kind of race are you chasing? But I either one, I really like that too, is what I think you said, like what's your cutoff for the coldest temperatures for training outdoors?
Oh, no. What's your ideal running
Ideal.
outdoor temperature? Uh-huh.
Not
55.
-20.
50, 50,
I would
50,
say
55.
40, 45.
Okay.
Okay.
Mine has changed
about
I
you,
over
meant
the
to
JW?
do
years.
it for this show, but I'm getting a thermometer and I'm going to have it right here so I can easily convert.
Please. We're all confused.
Cool. Really, to end it off for this episode, it was great. It was fun. For the listeners, what is your bucket list race? Right? Is your bucket list race I want to PB or PR at an event like Boston or any of the big world stage races? Is it a destination race? Right. And we mentioned a little bit, we name dropped Layla, but Layla is a friend of ours that works with a company that does destination races. So you make it like a holiday. Is that what your bucket list is? But really, I think at the end of the day, what we can help our listeners with is that if you do have a hard to get into race, just get the logistics set up ahead of time for yourself so that you don't miss it. I need to put reminders in my calendar. Next week is the sign in for this race. Tomorrow is the sign in for this race. 1 hour is a sign in for this race. The theme for our show is fitting the training into the chaos. We are all very busy, and it's so easy to forget, oh, crap, I was supposed to sign up for that race an hour ago. I wonder if the spot's left, right? So just setting yourself up that way, give yourself the warnings. But yeah, drop us a line on our Instagram. Post what your race is, what your ideal training temperatures are. I would really love to see the different, and with that training temperature, I think even I maybe take it one step further. And what I'll do is I'll put a poll. I did this a couple episodes ago. I think only 3 people answered the poll, but I'll put a poll in the show notes for this episode, asking you, what is your ideal temperature, and then also what are you training for that's your ideal temperature. Right? Because if you're training for an event like Alicia's, you probably don't want +20. You probably would like to have a little colder for that ideal training versus Anne's. I want warmer temperatures. Those are the type of comments that we'll look for. I'll drop that in there. But again, even if you don't want to take the poll, head over to our Instagram page, right? The Endurance Balance, and drop a comment in there. You can DM us. If you have any further questions that you want to ask any of us coaches, right? Like something sparked you from any of the episodes, you can message us. You can message the show in general. We'll get you in contact with the coach that you wanted to talk to. But get it in there. Let us know. I'm Coach JW. Really, at the end of the day, respect those recovery markers that we've been talking about. As Anne mentioned, and Alicia have mentioned, get the fun races in the calendar. You got to have some fun with the seriousness. Remember the why. I'll see you on the trails. Keep fitting that training into the chaos, and have a great, till next time.
You're amazing.
Stay warm.
That's a wrap for this week on the Endurance Balance. If you enjoyed the conversation, do us a huge favor. Hit that follow or subscribe button on your podcast app right now. It's the best way to support the show. And hey, we want to see your chaos. So come find us on Instagram at The Endurance Balance and drop us a DM. For Coach Alicia and Coach Anne, I'm Coach JW. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the trails.